them from their workplace and let the victim remains in a place that is safe, where they are supported by their friends and families. And finally, E is for educate. Inform others about the issues surrounding violence, and you stay informed. Teach your little ones safety codes that protects them against abuse. Know the trends and languages that are associated with abuse and violence. Train frontline workers on matters of confidentiality, how to report, how to protect those who are being victimized by system or by individual persons. Cry rape and break the silence. My name is Dr. Gail Ann Guy Cupid. I am a public servant with an educational background in public health, leadership and advocacy, to include social work practice. I want to talk to you about an acronym I have created, Cry Rape. And Cry Rape was created in part of my research on gender-based violence and my mother's affirmation to me as a child. We have seen and heard of the atrocities of sexual violence right here in our own backyard. The problem is explosive and affects all of us, whether locally or globally. Today, I am united with my community to push back against the devastation of gender-based violence, to include sexual violence and abuse and neglect amongst our children. The term can be used in almost any violent situation, may it be physical, political, sexual, verbal, mental, and/or religious abuse, amongst other things. It was created to challenge policies that are discriminating by rectifying them where those that are being abused can seek justice and yield a desirable outcome in doing the following. Cry rape is to 1, report. Take courage and talk about the instances of sexual, physical, verbal, emotional, spiritual, and economic violence through the appropriate channels. Tell the right authorities what you have seen, heard, or experienced. A is for advocate, standing in the gap and assume the position of the victim. Advocacy means putting yourself in the other person's shoe and fight for their rights and freedom to a safe place where their humanness, it's all-encompassing, where their humanness is protected. P is for protection or to protect. Be a safeguard, defend the victim's right to safety. Oftentimes, when a person has been victimized, the offender remains in the safety of the home while the victims are uprooted. Remove the offender from their position. Remove the offender from their homes, from their offices. Dismiss them from their workplace and let the victim remains in a place that is safe, where they are supported by their friends and families. And finally, E is for educate. Inform others about the issues surrounding violence, and you stay informed. Teach your little ones safety codes that protects them against abuse. Know the trends and languages that are associated with abuse and violence. Train frontline workers on matters of confidentiality. My name is Dr. Gail Ann Guy Cupid. I am a public servant with an educational background in public health, leadership and advocacy to include social work practice. I want to talk to you about an acronym I have created, Cry Rape. And Cry Rape was created in part of my research on gender-based violence and my mother's affirmation to me as a child. We have seen and heard of the atrocities of sexual violence right here in our own backyard. The problem is explosive and affects all of us, whether locally or globally. Today, I am united with my community to push back against the devastation of gender-based violence, to include sexual violence and abuse and neglect amongst our children. The term can be used in almost any violent situation, may it be physical, political, sexual, verbal, mental, and or religious abuse, amongst other things. It was created to challenge policies that are discriminating by rectifying them where those that are being abused can seek justice and yield a desirable outcome in doing the following. Cry rape is to 1, report. Take courage and talk about the instances of sexual, physical, verbal, emotional, spiritual, and economic violence through the appropriate channels. Tell the right authority.
Eternal and ever-wise God, we come here this evening, you say this is the day the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. This evening, Father, as they come, let them come with one heart, one mind, one soul, that we may bring this country to its destiny. Because, you know, Pharaoh lead the people, and God sent a Moses to take them out of bondage. So I hope today that our leader and colleague will take this country to the place where it belongs. So tonight, Heavenly Father, we come that everything they say must be of you, not of the self, but God, you are in control. And let us, the people of this country, have faith in you. And let the words of their mouth and the meditation of their heart be acceptable in your sight. I pray that you may cover them under your blood, that they may do what is right in the sight of the people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much as we remain standing for the national anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are waiting on the national anthem. Yes, we're back. Thank you very much. As we say good night to the people of North Leeward, we welcome you to this village meeting. Yes, yes, we may sit. May we have your seats, please. We welcome you to this village meeting here in Fitzhughes. And you know that we have a matter to discuss with you that is very burning on your conscience. And we have a battery of speakers lined up to address you. But before we go any further, we in the New Democratic Party have lost two distinguished members within recent times. You here in North Leeward have lost the first NDP candidate to win on the mainland in Calder Williams. And Dr. Friday has lost the chairperson of his constituency council only today. And so we're going to ask you to observe a moment of silence as a mark of respect for the passing of these two stalwarts. Thank you very much. May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God. Introduce the various speakers. I'm going to bring to you first from the constituency of South Leeward, one of our vice presidents, the Honorable Nigel Nature Stevenson. Won't you put your hands together as you welcome Nature to the podium?
Thank you very much, Brother Daniel, the Waterman Cummins. President of our party, Dr. Godwin Friday, and my esteemed Vice President behind me and former Vice President, Sinclair Leacock, and Roland Patel Matthews, our caretaker. My other colleagues who are present here tonight, and all the wonderful people from Fitzhughes and those persons who have journeyed from far to be with us, a very pleasant good night to you. It has been quite some time since I have taken a microphone, but this issue that is confronting the people of North Leeward is so pertinent, so important, that there can be no excuse for being here tonight. I want to speak especially to those people who are residing right here in Fitzhughes, and by extension, Chateaubelair and the rest of North Leeward. You know that one of the most topical issues today is the issue of the quarry. Now, today is the 8th of April. And one day from today, the 9th of April, would be something that you should mark on your calendar. You people from North Leeward, you should mark that particular day on your calendar. Never forget it, because two very important events took place there. Same time, hours before last affair was to erupt. The government was there. The powers that be were not very impressed with the fact that laissez-faire is a monstrosity. They were not driven at all to activate their evacuation plan to take the people of North Leeward to safety. There was something else that was preoccupying their attention on that day. Now, a lot of young people here never experienced a volcanic eruption. I was privileged as a little boy in 1979 to witness it. And it was not anything pretty. But most of the people in the hierarchy of the government, they knew what it was like. And nobody knew for sure what was going to be the magnitude of that eruption. Therefore, with all that uncertainty, one would have thought that a government that is genuinely concerned with the people that they have been elected to serve will take their responsibility seriously and take their people out of the danger zone into an area of safety. The way I heard it is that safety first. It is better to prepare for a storm that does not appear than for the storm to appear and you're not prepared. They did not see any urgency in removing you to safety. There was something else that was occupying their attention. They were not concerned about the natural disaster, but they were there negotiating a man-made disaster. What is that man-made disaster? That Quarry project that they have around there in Richmond. They saw that as priority. Why would a Quarry project that we have been told is going to be operated by a foreign investor take precedence? It's more important than taking the people of North Leeward from the red zone where there was imminent danger once that volcano erupted. So if the quarry was so important, it means that somebody stood to benefit. Somebody was going to benefit, and they were there negotiating a deal that was designed not to improve the way of life of the people of Fitzhugh, Chateaubelair, and North Leeward. But they were there negotiating a plan to see how they can have a take-home package, because they know it in themselves, whenever the next election comes, that it would be the end of the Unity Labour Party. And they saw that project as gratuity. They saw that project as an opportunity to fill their pockets and to hell with the people of North Leeward, suffering or no suffering. But for the next 2 or 3 minutes or so, I want to focus on the environmental effect of what is going to take place around there at Richmond. You look at your landscape, my friends, and I hope you're all taking an interest in this. Because you look at how picturesque Richmond is. It is a fantastic piece of real estate. You have projected there a wonderful piece of headland. Headlands are designed to protect bays. And not just, well, to create the bays, and also to protect the residents from the effects of the sea and also the effects of high winds. But if you intend to remove the headland, it means that you're going to expose the residents to natural disasters, especially if there is a hurricane. Because the headland is there to protect the villages, to protect the houses, so that whenever the wind hits at that headland, it rises and it goes over your homes. So it will minimize the effect of how destructive that hurricane can be. They are not taking that into consideration. They have gone ahead without any consultation with you, the people of North Leeward. And they have negotiated a contract that is going to give St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not even you, the people of North Leeward, $2 for every $70 they say they're going to make from a ton of aggregate. But in order for you to get aggregate, there are some things that must be done.
The aggregate that I'm talking about here is what we used to call long time days grindstone. A punk stone. You look at the crustal rock that is over there that constitute that headland over there at Richmond. It is solid structural granite rocks. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not endowed with any natural resources. But one of the natural resources that we can say that God has blessed us with is those heavy volcanic rocks. And they are very costly. That is why we heard a minister of government said that when the investor came around here and saw the rocks, he had several orgasms. You see how important that is? If a man is going to watch a piece of rock and get orgasm, well, you have to be careful of them. Very, very careful of them. And when they say they're going to negotiate a deal, you have to be careful and wonder, what is the motive behind destroying that wonderful piece of real estate that you have there? In order for us to get aggregate, the overburden has to be cleared. My friends, when we talk about the overburden, we are talking about the vegetation. Remove all the vegetation. And those of you who would have visited that site, you would have noticed that the trees are being removed. So deforestation is being practiced there. And not just that, there is a heavy, heavy layer of soil that must be removed in order for you to get to the structural rocks, the crustal rocks, to start blasting. The question is, where are they going to put that enormous volume of soil that they have to take off in order to get to the rocks? Where in Fituse are they going to put it? Where in North Leeward are they going to put it? I need you to understand something. You have something that looks like a dry river around there, a dry river valley. The surface appears to be dry, but a river is always draining. Even when you don't see it on the surface, it is beneath the surface and it is there. And you know that because that is the precise area that you would go and practice your craft in terms of catching the chichi. So my thing is, anytime they start removing the overburden, removing the soil, it means that the river that is there will disappear completely. And life for you, as you knew it, will be gone. It will be lost forever. And all that for what? All that for what? $2 a ton of aggregate? Does it really add up? Do you see any real benefit to be derived from destroying your environment? And I will end off by telling you this. Those of you who are living around here in this immediate vicinity, the piece of land that you're situated on is land that is adjoined to the headland over there. It is the same structural piece of land. And in order for them to start getting the aggregate, they have to do something that is called blasting. They have to use dynamites. And in order for them to use this dynamites, they have to bore holes into those structural rocks at a minimum of 30 feet. So you just consider, you're boring a hole in heavy granite rock, solid crustal rocks, 30 feet. Pack it with explosives to get that hard rock dismantled. Whenever that happens, remember I told you that you are all on a joining piece of land to that same headland. So, in blasting, what you're going to find happening in Fituse and Chateaubelair is that a number of earth tremors will be occurring. Earth tremors. That is why I said it is a man-made disaster. And who is the most disastrous person in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Who is the most disastrous government that ever governed the affairs of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? It is the Unity Labour Party. They are the ones who have been on a continuous basis, finding all ways and means to destroy not just the environment, but the way of life of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you, Fitius and Chateaubelair, you have not escaped them. So when they do the blasting and you start experiencing these tremors, it means that your houses that you work so hard to build will gradually develop cracks. And I do not know the integrity of your structure. I don't know if any one of them will fall down. But I guarantee you that there will be negative implication whenever the blasting is taking place over there. My friends, this is something that is very serious. You have to take an interest in what is taking place. You cannot give them a free rein to do what they like. You, the people of Fitius, Chateaubelair, and North Leeward, must stand up to this government. Stand up to this administration because they have negotiated a deal that is designed to make their lives better and your life bitter. You don't want to just imagine the amount of dust that will be covering and hovering over this immediate environment from the blasting. Wherever you have a coastal village, there is a force that is operating that is called the pressure gradient. It causes air to move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. And your location is the ideal location for there to be a continuous movement of onshore wind and offshore wind. When we talk about the onshore wind, we are talking about wind from the sea onto the shore. And imagine when that blasting is taking place, when that cloud of dust puffs into the air and you have onshore winds, every home will be polluted. So not just the environment there, the physical environment with respect to the headland that will be scarred and destroyed, but it will also be air pollution, there's land pollution, and there will also be water pollution. This is a government that has polluted all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it is time for us to get up and let them know what time it is. It is time for them to leave. They have overstayed their welcome. So Fitius, Chateaubelair, I leave you tonight, and I say again, take an interest in what is taking place there, because it can change your life for the worse. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you, DJ. Put your hands together for Brother Nature. North Leeward people, I hope you understand what Nature just said to you, you know. A disaster is waiting to happen. You have recently experienced the soufre raining down tons of dust on you, rocks and pebbles. That was the work of nature, not our nature. That was the work of nature. That was higher than us. But that was a one-off event. What these people are wanting to put on your heads is a continuous effusion of dust that will affect your health, that will affect your livestock, that will affect your crops, that will send you to the hospital, that will kill you. Mark my word. Depending on how the wind blows. And remember, they're not just going to mine a little bit of the rock, you know. They're going to mine the whole mountain. Most of it to go away. But remember what nature tells you. This is a disaster that you must prevent because it's your life. We are moving on tonight. And we have another champion coming to speak to you. The man is my own representative. my own representative in Central Leeward, in Central Kingston. A man whom I've worked with. A man whom I've worked with since I've become involved in politics, but a man whom I've known all my life. Major Leacock and I have started on a course of saving this country and getting our people back to work together with Dr. Friday and the rest of the team. So my friends, it is a distinct honor, privilege, and pleasure for me to invite the one and only Major to address you, North Leeward, tonight. Welcome him.
Thank you very much, Chairman Cummings. And he was absolutely correct that I look forward every election to his vote and that of his family. But being a man of good conscience, I ask my family to do the same for him while I go across and vote for Fitz-Bramble. It's a good exchange. It's good brotherly love. People of Fitzhughes, people of North Leeward, people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, diaspora, wherever we've been heard on social media, the World Wide Web, I said to you tonight that on a normal Friday evening at this time, I would exchange company with my esteemed President Dr. Friday and Pato and Nature and Daniel and Lavon, who is seated in front of me, and our Treasurer and our General Secretary, who are all present in the audience. And I'll mix and mingle with my own people in Central Kingstown, be they in Green Hill, Lago Heights, Sharps, Kingston Park, Paul's Avenue, wherever they are. Calling names is always troublesome and problematic because it is our habit to close down our constituencies on Friday nights by a lot of visitation and socializing and sometimes with a little liquid. Tonight, on the express request of my president, our leadership, my chairman, and the caretaker for this must-win constituency, I have put personal and Central Kingstown interests aside to be here in a national effort, because there is always a time of reckoning. And when that important question is asked, where were you when, as Nature said, this man-made disaster was being consecrated? I must be able to speak with clear conscience that I was with my colleagues and with you, the very important people of Fitzhughes, bringing an end to a project ill-conceived, and I may add, corrupt from the beginning in its intent. So tonight, as I ask for your understanding why I'm not in the yellow like my colleagues, not the subject of discussion, I want to have a sober conversation with you, Fitzhughes and North Leeward. I'm not here to canvass your support or your vote in a political context. There will be a time for that. Tonight, my conversation is to slowly and painstakingly try to reach the recess of your mind, to reach your heart, to get into your understanding, your thinking, your responsibility as a parent, a breadwinner, a mother, your responsibility as a youth man, boy or girl, and in particular those of you who are privileged to be in secondary school and who should be in the forefront and be the evangelists for change and for the securing of your future, while we in the New Democratic Party, true to our word, must arrest the continuous exploitation of your poverty. I don't apologize for that, because much of that is always present. The poorer we are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the Unity Labour Party believe that for an extra 200, 300, and there I'm calling big money, because sometimes it's as little as $50 and $10 and a jersey and a cap and a promise, that they can take advantage of your circumstance. Tonight, I want to impress a few things to you. And my colleague has alluded to that. One, no amount of money in the world, none, can pay for your health. So don't surrender good health for a little wealth. Because when the sickness catches up with you, no amount of money is going to look after you. And take it to heart what nature said to you in more expressive ways than mine, because it is common sense. If you disrupt the soil and the wind is blowing from the sea to the land and the dust is suspended, it must land somewhere. And it will land in your nostrils, in your mouth, in your eyes, and into your stomach. And those of you who have respiratory disorders, be it asthma or whatever form, would be the worst for it. That's serious. But I don't raise that to rest my case. I really want to journey with you in Fitzhughes into your understanding, into what really is going on here. Now, just a mere 2 years ago, we had an election in this constituency. Not on one single occasion, not once, did a government that badly wants to win a seat say to you they were going to have mining at that place. Not once. If I'm not speaking the truth, then you can chastise me. And if, as they are trying to impress upon you now that they were so convinced, they would have put that argument before you in their manifesto, in their words, and in their deeds to help and secure this constituency. But it was withheld. And was withheld for good reason. Good reason. When I say to you that the very document, the paper the agreement that speaks to the arrangement between the government and the gentleman who is going to carry out the project, you would see that right up front, they begin to speak about the deep water pier in Kingstown, in Bottomtown. Because one of them in that group says, you know, anyway, see paper is money. And when they look at the project in Kingstown, the deep water pier, which they have estimated to be as high as $600 million. And they know that you're going to need a hell of a lot of stone. I can't call and pronounce the word asphalt and aggregate and all them big words too well. Big stone. They need plenty big stone. They know those stones have to be secured. It has to be bought. It has to be paid for. And that in itself is going to be amounting to millions of dollars. And perhaps, just perhaps, the temptation was too great. As some of them looked around and saw that their days in politics was coming to an end. And so they said, a lot of money there in Big Stone, and the time to move and to secure that is now. So said, so done. You ask the current representative of this constituency, ask him, why did he feel compelled to take his own money, to go to St. Lucia, to see what was happening there, and to come back here and to say, all is well, all clear, let's proceed. Every day you can hear on the radio, Margaret London play the tape. People died in St. Lucia from the operation. St. Lucians complained about the dust. They complained about the big trucks. They complained about the dirty water in the rivers. They complained about the asthma. They complained about all the respiratory illnesses. Because bad things were happening to them for the existence of this same company in their own St. Lucia. So you don't feel if it ain't good for them, it ain't good for we either? No! Money in it. So they reach here to land it on you. Now I know, I have an appreciation. It's not an easy thing when you have light bill, water bill, phone bill, medical bill, transportation, food, and care of your children, and something is dangled in front of you, and you have to make that decision. But you know, even in my experience stage now, I call myself an elder statesman in the New Democratic Party. I always learned and grasped and understood and echoed some things from my parents and from my grandparents. And those things were called integrity, honesty. You bring home something that ain't belong to, put it to hell back, carry it back. You know? And right is right and wrong is wrong. And you could never, ever be too poor to say, you see, that thing there, that spells disaster for me, my children, and for generations unborn. There are so many things one can go through with this exercise that is unwholesome and unhealthy without challenging your minds. Just think of what nature said when you opened the baton for us tonight. A government is going to give a man those lands for 30 years. 30 years. So let's look at some reasonable things. Just simple reasonable things. If he gets that, he will make money for the next 30 years. You have a piece of land, you have crops on it now, they will look at it, they will say this is how it is worth, and they will pay you for it now, 1 year. So you are compensated for a single year. Not for the next 30 years, but in the same way, he is going to benefit from that for 30 years. If you are going to lose from your land, from your fishing, from whatever the hell you are doing, you too shall be compensated for 30 years. But in the first instance, they were never concerned about that. I don't get into name calling. But Ralph has some outer place thing he does sometimes. And unfortunately, he has a group of guys behind him who could never point him in a different direction. They just can't. And he looks at you in the eyes. And he believes you can't count. So imagine a gentleman, a business, a company is going to sell stone. And for every ton, a ton is 2,240 pounds. For every ton they sell, they will get $70. That's correct? So they say at least. But people who know more and better, like bigger, say it could even be more than that. But let us say that they say the $70. Imagine they are going to take your stone, sell it for $70, send you to the hospital to get medication, and in return give you a penny. 2 cents out of $70. What the hell are you going to do with 2 cents? Out of $70. Something radically, fundamentally wrong with that. If you don't understand, imagine it was $1. Well, at least you don't get 3 cents, close to 3 cents, not even that. But I don't know for a fact. But I also ask what I consider to be a common sense question. Who the stone belong to wrong there, by the way? We? Vincentian? So you can sell to me and tell me that you want stone to build a wharf in town. You can call a man from St. Lucia, give him the stone, and buy back your stone from him to fill up your wharf. Your own stone, you know, not his own. You ain't bring them from St. Lucia. But you're going to take your stone, give it to him, and buy it from him. Well, I have to be an nincompoop. I have never heard some guinea hen ram goat story like that in my life. Who the hell are they talking to? It's got to be the joke of the century. They are dishonest to the core. And they're taking you for a ride. You see these guys behind here? Led by Dr. Friday, my president. In this party, this noble, long-serving institution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, called the New Democratic Party, we have always spoken to you about the need for what we call constituency development fund. What do we mean by that? It means that everybody who wants to represent you must understand that there must be a money put aside expressly for you and your constituency. But look at this. This project is so important to them. And Ralph looks at you in your face and tell you, you know, I forget to talk to you. Imagine that. And 3 years pass and he still forget to talk to you. And barefaced enough to come down here to say, I'm sorry. That they are people-centered. No. Give me a break. There is something in this project that also has a similarity to the people in the Grenadines. I'm not going to shut up just now, you know. Because nowhere in the development of this multi-million dollars, and we're not talking about 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, 20, 30 million, you know. We are talking about a project that will reach into the amounts of billions of dollars. Billion with a B. In no way do you get a sense, or has it been indicated to you, Fitzhugh, you Richmond, you Chateau, you Pito, you Spring Village, you the surroundings, that as a consequence of things coming from your community, a portion of money will be put aside specifically, directly, expressly for you, the people. No! The money will go, just as it is, into what is called a consolidated fund. They will send it to Kingston. One big pot. And you don't even have a guarantee that as a consequence, you who live here will be a beneficiary of something that came from you. Is it making sense to what I'm saying to you? It can't be right. It can't be right. And you will excuse me, therefore, if I just spoke this little bit of politics. You understand now why in the general elections that went, come hell or high water, Patel wasn't to be allowed to win the seat. Because if he only won the seat, and the NDP went back into government where we had lost a couple of years ago, too long now, this thing would not come off. So they had to do everything, all in their powers, to keep Pato out of this constituency. So it's a very serious plot that's unfolding here. In the passage of time, I will speak to this project differently, you know. But today and tonight, I just wanted to address some home truths. Because you're not even going to begin to understand the inconveniences that you will have to put up with for just a little more. The blasting, they will have to choke off the road. They will not allow you to come around here. They just don't blast. You have to keep your windows closed, your doors closed, water collected, you have to keep it closed, and you have to be going through inconvenience after inconvenience. He's not speaking any untruths to say your house will be cracked and all sorts of things will happen. But I'm saying that you, the people of Fitzhugh, good, decent people who know of struggle and suffering, there's nothing that separates you from the people of Central Leeward, specifically the people of Leeward. And if Leeward could get up and say, we ain't want no warfare and they have to stop it, you could say, we ain't want that here neither and stop it. Friday don't have to come here and make sense out of you. Or Patel, it is time you put your foot down in Fitzhugh and in North Leeward. Be a man, be a woman, be a young person for the future. Because the New Democratic Party hasn't come here tonight to say that we are stopping it because it advances our political interests. When we propose that, we will come another time when the agenda is different to show you in crystal clear terms how we have a better way for the people of Fitzhugh. So you're not going to lose a cent over the New Democratic Party. Because we'll make sure, just as how some of them say that they're there to eat a bread, you only going to eat bread, but you're going to have something in the bread. You understand? This party, and that's why I'm staying on just that little bit more, because Major can't be on the political stage forever. Everything grinds to an end. But so long as the good Lord gives me enough strength to lend support to this decent team of people led by Dr. Friday. I say, stop in Jesus' name. That project, which has no good for the people of Fitzhughes, and do not allow for the corrupt pockets to be filled at your personal expense. Good night. Thank you. God bless you. Do the right thing. Wise up and rise up. Blessings.
That's my major. Put your hands together for Major.
Do you speak out when you see injustice around you? And do you have the courage to stand up and fight it too? Would you put your life on the line for a better land? And would you fight for a principle? Would you take a stand? Someone asked me not long ago, how far would I go? And if I think I have the courage to be a hero, I said, I'll do it for my country. I'll do it for SPG. I'll make any sacrifice once you call on me. Yes, I'll do it for my nation without hesitation. Just tell me where and what, and I'll be on the spot. You know what? Because I love me country back. She is my all. I love me country man. I'll answer when she calls. No one can dissuade me. No one can discourage me. No matter how hard, I'll do what she asks, 'cause this is my yard. People with their human rights, and will you ever help the dispossessed carry their fight? Would you compromise your safety for a total stranger? And will you battle superior force, don't mind the danger? Someone asked me not long ago, how far would I go? And if I think I had the courage to be a hero, I said, I'll do it for my country. I'll do it for SPG. I'll make any sacrifice once you call on me. Yes, I'll do it for my nation without reservation. Just tell me where and what, and I'll be on the spot. Because I love my country back. She is my all. I love me country man. I'll answer when she calls. No one can dissuade me. No one can discourage me. No matter how hard, I do what she asks, 'cause this is my yard.
What an appropriate song from Patches. My dear people of North Leeward, I want to ask you a simple question tonight. Do you have any confidence? Do you have any confidence whatsoever in the healthcare delivery system in this country? Do you have any confidence in this government looking after your health? Do you know that if you allow this quarry to go ahead, your health will be destroyed? The contractor has no obligation whatsoever to you. Let me repeat that. If that quarry goes ahead, the contractor has no obligation to you. Now, the government can't look after your health. The quarry people don't give a damn. How could you allow them to bring that dust and all that goes with it? How could you allow them to be blowing up dynamite there that has the potential for destroying your homes with cracks in the walls? Understand this. The contractor has no responsibility whatsoever to you, the people of this country, because what they have been given is a sweetheart deal. But don't take my word for it, you know. We're going to bring to you now your own. I'm going to call my friend and colleague Roland Patel Matthews, and he is going to introduce the next speaker who comes from right here. Yes. So I want you to put your hands together and welcome Patel to the microphone. He will make his presentation and he will introduce the speaker from this area following that. Welcome Patel on board.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, Dr. Godwin Friday, welcome to FITUS again. Vice Presidents, Brother Nigel Nature Stevenson, and my good friend, the Major Sinclair Leacock. Good evening, FITUS. Good evening, North Leeward. Tonight, before I go into my presentation, I just want to pay a little tribute to the Honorable Calder Williams. 43 years ago, right here in FITUS, you, the people of FITUS, made a political decision. That decision was, you said to Sir James Mitchell then, no Calder, no key. You stood firm in your belief. And right there and then, in the first time this has ever happened in politics in this country, Calder Williams was hoisted by the people of FITUS, mostly women, onto a truck and given to Sir James, and you said, this is who we want. Sir James back then, a man of vision, a man of wisdom, he asked Calder, he said to Calder, the people want you. Do you pledge allegiance to the New Democratic Party? And Calder said yes. And the rest is history. Calder Williams became the first person in the history of the New Democratic Party to win a seat on mainland St. Vincent. And that is why I always say that when it comes to the New Democratic Party, FITUS, you will go down in the history of politics in Vincent as the first community to give the New Democratic Party a seat on mainland St. Vincent. Give yourself a big hand, FITUS. Last week, we mourned the death of our dear brother Calder Williams, a man who was a cricketer, a national cricketer, a police officer, a teacher, a farmer, one of your own, the ordinary man. As a matter of fact, Calder Williams, to my mind, has been one of the most ordinary individuals to ever enter the hallowed halls of the parliament. A man from the street, a man who you could identify with, a man who had done a great deal for the people of North Leeward. I recall in a conversation with Calder Williams, and he said to me, I want to show you something. He showed me an old speech he gave in Parliament sometime between 1979 and 1984. The chapter that I read, Calder Williams back then saw the vision of an institution where all the minds of our bright young people can be nurtured. North Leeward, what I am saying to you, Calder Williams was one of the first person in the Parliament to give an argument for what is now St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. That's the man who we had here in North Leeward. The man who lost a substantive portion of his banana field because of politics. A man who they call the one-shot man because of politics. A man who they sued $25,000 because of politics. That is the man called William. On the 29th of this month, he will be laid to rest. I expect for Jews a very, very big turnout to show your support for man of the soil, Calder Williams. Thank you very much. Tonight, for Jews, just like in 1979 when you choose Calder, you have a choice to make now. It was around the same time we had suffrage. It was just after suffrage, like now 43 years ago. History has a way of repeating itself, and we must pay close attention. 43 years ago, after suffrage, you choose Calder. 43 years after that, you have a choice now. Where something big, something evil is lurking on the horizon. If you choose, here is your opportunity to make that call again and said no quarry unless you are satisfied. That is the best thing to do. I recalled a few weeks ago, the government most outspoken spokesman, the Prime Minister, was here in North Leeward on the site, and I heard him say that this project was 3 years in the making. 3 years in the making, but they did not see it fit. They did not see it decent to tell you, the people of Fituse, what they had in mind. Not even a consultation to hear your views or whether or not you like it. But they go ahead and do it anyway and come back now to tell you they're sorry and they apologize. Too late, my people. We would not accept that. Too late. You heard speakers after speakers tonight lamented the health problems that will be associated if that project is allowed to continue. My brothers and sisters, I am an asthmatic person. Therefore, you know what that means? Persons like me will be in serious trouble if this project is allowed to continue. In North Leeward, we are saturated, if I want to put it that way, with a number of persons who suffered from bronchitis, asthma, and other related problems. So persons who are in that category have to be on the P's and the Q's when that quarry is in full operation. My brothers and sisters, I want you to put this thing in context again, you know. On the 8th of April last year, like today, when we were trying our best to get out of North Leeward, last year, today, boats were at the wharf in Chateaubriand, people evacuating. There was a fella there telling you, Unless you're vaccinated, you can't get onto the boat. But this same fella was part of a scheme that signed an agreement the same day to destroy your health in North Leeward. And you want to tell me that somebody who cares about you? You have to ask yourself, Fetius people. North Leeward, I want you to ask yourself, is there somebody who cares about me? How could you allow this to happen? How could you be so bold-faced? The very day the evacuation order was given for North Leeward people to get out, you signed contract with a foreign company to destroy the piece of mountain between Fetius and Richmond. Tell me, my people, we have to get back to that vibes. We have to invoke that spirit that you told Sir James 43 years ago, no key, no Calder. You have to say no ULP, no Quarry. That should be the call. Because if you don't come out and demand respect will not be given unto you. We deserve better than this. As a people, we deserve better than this. Don't take us for granted. You know, some time ago in West Kingston, there was an attempt to do a quarry and they had to consult the people. What happened to North Leeward? Are we behind God back? No! Those days are over. And we have to let the people in authority know we will not stick for this nonsense. My brothers and sisters, you have heard speakers before me. They say to you, when you look at the sweetheart deal, the government in Parliament, in answering a question from Dr. Friday, the Minister of Work said that the company will be making $26 million every year. Now we know it's more than that, but let us take it and believe what they say. $26 million. $28 million. That's what they will make. But listen to this. You are, let us say, the people of St. Vincent to the government would be making less than $1 million. Now you want to tell me, all the bright people in government, all the technical people who are good at financing and so on, how could they negotiate something like that where the state is earning less than $1 million a year while the investors from overseas are leaving our shores with $28 million? Something has to be wrong. And I believe something is definitely wrong, because that only tells you that there is something in the mortar besides the pistol. Somebody making extra money on the side when that product is in full operation. I wonder who that person is. We want to know who that person is. I recall, a minister of government on a calling program. He said to the host, I am no longer the Minister of Transport and Works, but I have an interest in the Richmond Quarry. Why is that so? How could you be so bold-faced to say you are no longer the minister, but you have an interest in that project? My question to him is this: what is your interest in Richmond, the Quarry? People of Fetius, people of North Leeward, this is our opportunity now. We came here tonight, as one member said, not to campaign for you to vote for us, but to educate you so that you could stand up for your own rights. That's what we're here tonight, the New Democratic Party. We are here to encourage you, the people of Fetius, that this is a matter that is close to home, and you have to defend your community. You have to say you need an environmental study, a proper and up-to-date study. Imagine a real study. They are using a study That was done, how many years ago? 14 years ago. The person who did the study said the study had nothing to do with the quarry here, with the government in using that study to say that they have the right away to do what they are doing now. No, we can't allow this. We need proper consultation. Come to us. Come to us and let us know what is in the mortar besides the pistol. We need to know what kind of hanky-panky deal. What kind of hanky-panky deal that was discussed? You heard one speaker before me mention about the history of this company in St. Lucia, where people lost their lives, where people are crying out because of dust, where people are crying out because of the noise associated with the quarry. So what are we in North Leeward? Who are we in Fituse? Are we could take anything? Are we nobody's children? So that you could feel you could come down and do as you like? You know? And what they are doing, you know? What they are doing, you could sense for yourself that something is not right. Hear this one. You know, they came like a thief in the night and they start in Richmond. Persons who had land were surprised to hear that bulldozers are going to their land, destroying their vegetation and their crops. People heard that. People made noise about what was happening. They came down secretly and had a little meeting with some of the farmers and promised them goodies. Do you know? Tuesday of this week, we from the New Democratic Party apply for permission to have this meeting here tonight. And we wrote to the Commissioner of Police for permission. Wednesday, they start to call farmers, tell them to come for money. You hear me? Wednesday, they call in farmers, tell them come for money. Now this is how the government look at us. At a little dollar, and we must shut up. Farmers who are plying their trade on that hillside make thousands of dollars per year. If this lease, as they say, is for 30 years and beyond, when you get your little money yesterday or today, what are you going to do for 30 years to come? What are you going to do? They said that they're going to send some people in Top Hill. The same Top Hill that they promised the ganja farmers, and up to now, none of them can get any. The same Top Hill that you have to dig down sometimes 2 feet before you meet dirt because of the high ashfall on it. North Leeward, Fituse people, do not be taken for granted. You have your worth. You are important in the scheme of things. You have to send a message to all of St. Vincent that you are not going to stand for this just so. You have to put up a resistance and let the government know that they cannot just walk in and destroy your life like this. It is important that we take a stand as a people. And let me tell you, whenever you the people take the stand, I guarantee you that the New Democratic Party will be at your side when you take that stand to defend what is yours. This is your community. This is Fituse that created history 43 years ago when you bring Calder to the fore. I want you to do the same thing now and let the government know how school keeping. Yes, so I am saying to you, here is your chance. As one of your local persons said in a video presentation on Facebook that has now gathered over 20-something thousand views, do not sell your patrimony for 30 pieces of silver. Don't do it. Your children will be vexed with you. When your children grow up and they ask you, Mom, Dad, why did you allow this to happen? Why are you dying now from asthma? Why are you breathing like that? I am told it's because there was a mountain next door and you allow it to be bulldozed and you inhale the dust and you are sick dying. Are you going to say, well, they give me $15,000? It is real, my friend. It is real. Money cannot buy health. We have heard that so many times where our people suffer, and this administration in 2020 election, you know what they said? When it comes to priority, health is number 6 on the list of intention. And that's the reason why they're treating us like that, because they don't care nothing about you and your health. We have an opportunity now to put a stop to it, my brothers and sisters. Before I leave, I want to implore on you to let you know you need to do what you have to do to bring this project to proper accountability. Let them come and tell you where is the environmental impact study that gives them permission to do that. Let them come and tell you if it is going to affect the chichi catching that many of our people depend on for a living. Let them tell you the reason why today the sane men are catching the hell to catch some rubbing out of Quarry Rock. One of them told me so. So many fish at Quarry Rock today, but they can't catch them. Is it because there is some changes? There's some changes in the marine environment? Is it because of that? Well, if it now start, imagine 30 years down the road, what will happen? You know, we have, as Major mentioned, our rocks are there. They don't have to go and look for the rocks as if you do when you're looking for oil. The rocks are there. It is our rock. One minister said that when the gentleman saw the rock, he got several orgasms. I asked myself if that minister was in front or behind the gentleman. Because to be saying such foolishness. But our people, these are the kind of languages that they tend to use to bamboozle you and make you feel good about yourself when they are in fact destroying you. Stand up, my brothers and sisters. The time is now. Let us stand bravely in Fetuse, in North Leeward, and tell this government, no Quarry, no ULP. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Put your hand together for Patel. Thank you very much. We're making a slight change. And at this point in time, people of North Leeward, I want to bring to you the person you have been waiting to hear from, the person who is the leader of the party that should have been in government, the man whose vision for this country puts the people first, a man whose integrity you cannot question, a man who will soon be leading this country to better days. And so, I want you to pay close attention to the message that's going to come from our leader, Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday. Put your hand together, brothers and sisters, and welcome the doc as he addresses you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you very much to my esteemed colleagues who are here tonight, thank you very much. To Fitzhughes, and thank you so much for all the people who are listening via social media. Of course, I had to be here in Fitzhughes with the people now that they have this major crisis that is looming. Because whenever I come to this village, I get such a wonderful welcome. From the time I enter, all the villages along the way, but here in Fitzhughes, I feel special. Every home we go to, every person I meet on the streets here, you extend that welcome. And when I saw what was happening with this proposed quarry in Richmond, and I say proposed because it ain't start yet. They're cutting roads and all of that, but they ain't start blasting it. So a lot could happen between now and that time. So when I see what was happening, I said no. I have to stand up. I have to bring the full weight of the New Democratic Party, all my political capital, to come here to stand in solidarity with the people of North Leeward, and particularly with the people here in Fitzhughes. 1 year ago today, you were faced with the calamity of the exploding Soufrière volcano. 1 year ago today, on a night like this, people were rushing to get out of Fitzhughes, fighting for your life and safety. And you persevered. The volcano erupted, it did its thing, and the people came back as they always do. And you want to continue your life. And you want to make it better, not worse. You want to make it better, not worse. And then when you come back, instead of the encouragement that you want to see, instead of the support that you should be counting on, you have to now be fighting against a project that nobody in the government felt that you had any need to know about. Let me tell you something. This project, as my colleagues have said, it has a lot of serious implications, serious problems of concerns for this constituency. Why is it? Why is it? Ask yourself this. If this is so good for Fitzhughes, if it's so good for North Leeward, if it's so good for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, why is it in the election when they're struggling to try to win votes, they didn't come and bring it to you and brag about it? Why is it that in the parliament the other day, when we discuss all kinds of projects, and they're bragging about things that you know that they're going to happen, when they know that this was going to happen, they didn't say a word about it? And then when people are going out of business one Saturday morning, you see trucks and tractors going to people's lands, mashing down their crops, totally disrespecting the people and the effort that they put into it. What happened? The people of North Leeward, the people of Fitzhughes, don't deserve the same treatment that the people of any other part of this country is entitled to? That the people, everybody, any human being is entitled to? When I came here, we came down here 2 months ago. We came down here again recently. And we are here again tonight. And I will not let this go because too much is at stake. And what is driving the project, have you heard from my colleagues? It is not the development of this constituency or the people of Fitzhughes. It is not even the development of the country. It is pure rank greed. They look at the mountains down there, the rock The ridge that separates Richmond from Fitzhugh. They look at it and they didn't see brown rocks. What they see was green dollar bills. And they set about to try to convert that rocks into money. And the interests of the people in this community was secondary. Ask yourself this. How is it that you could bring a project of this scale, of this destructiveness? Because when you're doing quarrying, it rips the land apart. You have dust, you have noise, you have vibration, you have big trucks. It's very, very destructive to the environment, and it affects communities around it. Why is it that they didn't feel it necessary to come and talk to the people of this constituency? You have to ask yourself, as some of my colleagues have said before, what is going to happen when they start crushing rocks, when they start blasting, the noise and the dust? Who is going to tell you when you put your clothes out on the line and then you take it up and it's covered in dust? Who is going to repay you for that? Who is going to help you to recover from asthma when you have to go to the hospital? Or your children? What are the implications of it? Why is it that they didn't do an environmental impact study? You hear that word talking all the time. Let me tell you what it means. When we say that you must do an environmental impact study, this is what it means. It means that you have to look at how this project is going to affect the lives of all of the things that are living, human beings, plants, animals around. How it's going to affect them. What damage it is going to do, and how, if is it possible, to reduce that damage. We have to also look at how it's going to affect the rivers, the streams. This is located right on the coastline. How is it going to affect the coral that is right there, that people come and dive and swim and enjoy? How is it going to affect your fishing down at Cavalli Rock? How is it going to affect the very lives and the enjoyment of the beach by the people of this community? Nobody bothered to ask those questions on your behalf. So, when we raise them in the context of an environmental study, that is what we're talking about. How is this thing going to affect you? And if they don't ask those questions, it means they don't care about you. I was going to say something less diplomatic. What it means is that they don't care about you. They care about something else. And what they care about is money. Who is going to make the money? Now let's look at this from a financial point of view. You heard me just say, how is it that they're talking now all of a sudden that this project is so important for building the, the port? The port in West Kingstown, Daniel's constituency. How is it that it's so important all of a sudden? That they must have this rock. But good Lord, we're so stupid. If you need the rock, you own the rock, you're going to build the port in Kingstown, why are you going to look for somebody, go out of the country, look for somebody and say, let me bring that person in here and give him the rock. And then we're going to buy it back from him. And we're going to use it now to build the wharf, the port. That makes sense to you? So I asked the question in the parliament of the minister responsible, who was Montgomery Daniel. And the man turned all kinds of, he put himself in all kinds of knots. A simple question. How much rock you going to mine and what it cost? How much we going to get for it? Here is what they say. And listen to this. This is very important. This is how you understand that this deal is not about development and it's not about this constituency. Somebody getting rich, but it ain't you. Somebody making money, but it's not the country. And if that happens, we have a right to stand up and say, no, 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 not here. We're going to pay the cost of it. We are the ones who are going to suffer for it. And if it's going to happen, at least we should benefit from it. But we go beyond that. We say first, before you move a shovel of dirt, you must do the proper study. And I asked the minister in the parliament, all those international institutions. If the Caribbean Development Bank was giving us money, you couldn't move a spoonful of soil before you do this study. If the World Bank was giving us money to develop that project, which is normally what would happen, they couldn't move anything. But they don't want any of that. They want private people to come in and do it. And they say, you see all of those studies that you have to do to protect the community when you're borrowing money from responsible international institutions. We don't have to do that here because we ain't borrowing that money. And the people of Fitzhugh, they can't stop it because what happened? We as government, we control things. And this is too much money to pass up. That is what is happening here. So when I asked the minister in the parliament about the environmental impact study, you know what he said? He said that they're using a study. Yes, a study was done for this project. And the study was done by an organization called INERT, I-N-E-R-T, Dr. Murray's organization, I'm told. So I asked him, I said, how is it you could do a study of something that ain't proposed yet? Because this study was done in 2008. And this project is just coming to light in 2021. How could you do a study in 2008 for something in 2021 that nobody ain't proposed yet? What happened? You're such a genius, you can see the future? Magician? What it is, it was just a downright lie. No study of this project exists because they don't care of the impact it will have on the people in this constituency or the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, he couldn't provide an answer to that. The next question I ask, very important. We've been asking this question on the radio, but nobody wanted to answer it because they feel they don't have to respond to the people. How much money was going to be made, basically? They say that every year they're going to take about 400,000 tons of rock out of here. We believe it's going to be more. It's going to be over 1 million tons. But let me take their figure for it. 400,000 tons. At $70 per ton, that means they're going to make $28 million. You know how much the people are going to get out of that from what they're giving government? The minister had the gall in the parliament, the bare face, to come in and say, this is good for the country. You know why? We're going to get $12,000 in the treasury from renting the land. You know how much land it is? 58 acres. You're going to rent it for $12,000 and you come and brag about that? $12,000 a year. And what's more, he said we're going to get 2% of the cost of the aggregate, $70 a ton. We're getting $2 for 2%. $2 a ton out of that. That adds up to about $800,000, less than $1 million a year for the government. When the developer getting $28 million? But he goes on to say this. He says, here how this is good for the country. When the government buy back the stuff from Renault, they're going to get a discount of 8%. So instead of paying $70, government going to pay about $64 for it. And it's your rock, you know. It's free, it's yours. They say, oh, we don't have to spend $30 million to develop it. What the hell is this? When they build the airport, the Agala International Airport, did they hire somebody to go, give them the rocks and buy it back from them? And that's bigger than the project you're doing in Kingston. In Beckway, back in the early 90s, they built the Beckway Airport. They said they needed rock because they were building it out of the sea. They went up, they looked in the hills in Paget Farm, they found the right rock. The government go and they blast it out. They make a big hole, but they build the airport. The people satisfied with that. They close it down after that. No more blasting, no more quarry. This thing could go on forever. They could take away the whole ridge between Fitzhugh and Richmond because it's not about development. This thing about providing it for the port in Kingston, that is a lie. It's a ruse, it's a trick. They're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. It could take you 30 years to build a port in Kingston. This lease is for 30 years. The port in Kingston could take about 2 years to do. So what happened after that? That's free money. It's over $1.2 billion at the cost that they're talking about here that they're going to make from that project. And the people of this country going to get pittance, and we're going to pay the cost of it. So who is making that money? Don't listen to any of the lies that they tell you about this is about development. If it was about development, it would have been in the budget. If it was about development, it would have been in the election campaign. If it was good for you, they would have tell you about it. They wouldn't hide it from you. It's not good for you, and it ain't good for the people. And we must insist that they do the environmental impact study. They must stop until that is done. They must stop until that is done. Or they must be stopped until that is done. And then what is more, we must make sure that the people of this country, if it is to go ahead, that they are the ones who benefit from it. Reno didn't apply for this job, you know. You know how Reno Construction get involved in this? He didn't come here on a cruise along the coast, the beautiful coast in Richmond here, and look up the hills and say, oh, what nice rocks they have in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I think I'm going to go and ask the government if I could come and mine it. It's not so. They went and recruited him. In fact, the minister, in the answer to my question, said that they engaged him to come in here to develop the thing for them. It went from that into giving it to him in the form of a peppercorn lease. These are things by their people. When people do that to you, they're taking you for granted. They're saying that you don't deserve the consultation that you should have. Not only that, that even when they don't provide that, they're not going to look out for your interest. Because first and foremost, the environmental study wasn't done. So all the things, the impact of it, have not been explored, so you don't know how it's going to affect you. And we can tell you, from what we know about quarry projects, it will affect you. This same company's projects in St. Lucia was closed down because of the effects on the community and the far, because of the accident that they had, so-called, with the blast. So they have a history of problems, but they are not the biggest problems in this whole thing. The biggest problem we have in this thing is the government, because the government are the ones who invited them in. The government went and recruited them. If it wasn't him, it would have been somebody else. Because somebody sees in those rocks down there, not brown rocks, but green dollar bills. That is what is happening. The people of Fitzhugh must not be sacrificed for the greed of anybody. The people of this country should not be taken for fools when they tell you that 7 is greater than 10 and that it is better for them to rent out the land and buy back the stone. Good Lord. How could we allow them to get away with that? Just because of that alone, you should say to them, if you are going to develop the port in Kingston and need the rocks, we could look at that as a development project and say, yes, we can make some sacrifices. But not when you go and you say you give it to somebody. You tell them, come, develop it. I will give you 30 years to do it. You can make $70 a ton. Just make sure you give me back $2. And what's more, if I need it, which I will do, I can buy it from you for $65 a ton. Thank you very much for that deal. That is a deal. When you have a deal like that, you don't call it a deal, you call it a steal. And that is what is happening here. And the people of Fitzhugh are no less than anybody else anywhere in this country. The people of North Leeward are no less than anybody else in this country. The people all over St. Vincent and the Grenadines are outraged by this. And it's time that we begin to show it by our presence, by our voices, by standing up and saying, we are citizens of this country that vote in cattle. We don't have to take what you give because you work for us. That's what government do. They work for the people. That land that they own down there is not theirs. It is held in trust for the people of this community first and foremost, and for the whole country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is why we are here today. That is why we were here before. That is why we will be back here again. And that is why we will never let this matter go, because it is too big. It is too important. If they get away with treating the people of this country, the people of North Leeward like this, then where is our self-respect? Where is our dignity? They like to talk about the dignity of citizenship. Where is our dignity of citizens? If we surrender and say we are not entitled to be consulted, we're not entitled to benefit from what is ours, that any nonsense that you tell us, we will accept. I will not accept it. The people of this community, I know, will not accept it. The people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will not accept it. The question is, what do we do about it? And we are here today in solidarity with you from the recovery from the volcanic eruption and this ongoing potential disaster that is going to affect this community and the whole of North Leeward. And that is the quarry at Richmond. Let us give ourselves more credit than they will give to us, which is to say, we understand what is going on. We know what trick that they're trying to play. We know it ain't take 30 years to build a port in Kingstown. That this whole deal is about getting people rich, and it ain't the people of North Leeward. You hear they say you get 200 jobs? You know 200 jobs going to come there. Most of that stuff is being done with tractors, and they might even use conveyor belts to put it on the boat because it's right there next to the water. And then you can't go and fish. When you hang out your line, you close on the line, you're going to have dust all over it. When the children walk in to go to school, they're breathing that in. That is the reality. And nobody bothers to tell you about it. Why? You have a right to be righteously indignant about that. You have a right to be angry about it. I am very angry about it because I don't believe that the people of this community or the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines should be taken for fools. Those who hold a high office of government, they serve the people. They should be there protecting the people, getting between the developer and the community to make sure you get the best deal for the people, not making excuses for the developer and trying to make it easier for them to come and rip this place off, if that is what indeed happens. Any developer that comes to this country, the government has a right to protect the people and to make sure to look out for the interests of the country. This deal is a bad, rotten, stinking deal. I want to know who was in which room, who negotiated it. And let me summarize for you. This is what has happened. They have taken 58 acres of land. They have leased it out to a company for $1,000 a month. That is less than a house rent. And that company says they have $25 million worth of rock that is mineable down there. That's a lot of money. And they will be mining or quarrying about 400,000 tons a year, which will be worth $28 million. The government getting less than $1 million. And you put that over 30 years is over $1 billion. And the people of this country will not be seeing that money. That is what is happening here. That's the arithmetic of it. And we have much more, and we will continue to bring this matter to the national conscience until the people of this country say, I am sick of this. Enough. No more. We cannot be taken for granted. And we will stand with the people of North Leeward. I've said it so many times before. This is not a North Leeward matter. I am here today. I am here today under difficult circumstances. I'm here today because it is not a North Leeward matter. It is not a Fitzhugh matter. It is a matter for the whole of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because our dignity as a people, our very dignity as a people is at stake. Nobody should take us for fools. Thank you and good night.
Do you speak out when you see injustice around you? And do you have the courage to stand up and fight it too? Would you put your life on the line for a better land? And would you fight for a principle? Would you take a stand? Someone asked me not long ago, how far would I go? And if I think I have the courage to be a hero, I said, I'll do it for my country. I'll do it for SPG. I'll make any sacrifice once you call on me. Yes, I'll do it for my nation. Without hesitation.
Fitzhugh, put your hand together for Dr. Friday. I know that you are determined, like he is, to say to this rogue government that this land belongs to you and your health is more important than anything else. And no sweetheart deal. No, do it right or get out of here. And so, as we move on, I'm going to bring back Patel. Patel is going to introduce for you somebody from right here who's going to lay it on.
Thank you very much, Chairman Cummins. Thank you very much. During my presentation, I spoke of a gentleman from this community who did a video of the destruction of that mountain. And this video went viral. Thousands of people liked the video. A man who is serious about what is taking place in Fituse with regard to the quarry. He lives there, and he wants to tell you tonight, in his own words, why you must stand up against this wicked project. I want you to listen to him carefully. As I invite to the microphone, yours truly, Brother Adonis Charles. Put your hands together for Brother Adonis as he comes to the microphone. Now, Brother Adonis, as I said, is part of a small committee that is doing a lot behind the scenes with regards to this project. You might not see what they are doing now, but they are making progress, and he's here tonight to tell you what his feelings are towards this project. Brother Adonis, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brother Roland Patel Matthews. Platform delegation, the Honorable Dr. Friday, President of the New Democratic Party, and leader of the opposition. I see also Minister Cummins, the Major, I like to call him the Major, Sinclair Liquor, and Stevenson. I'm not familiar, you have to tell me your name, you have to give me a name. Roll call. Monica Adam, I'm a good friend. Dr. Friday, I am representing a group that we have formed since we became aware of the ambush that has taken place. Ambush in the night. While we slept, they came in. And only God knows what else they brought in. We call ourselves the Leeward Heritage Preservation Front. With me, we have Miss Jill Edwards. We have Clem Derek Clary. I want you to notice who the members are. Because I am not a politician, and I'm not here to promote one or the other political party. I'm speaking as a concerned resident of Fituse and somebody who has been hurt by a government who swore to protect us. We also have Brother Amos Glasgow. We also have Linden, which is Banner. He's busy preparing some refreshments for you. And Terry is also part of the group. He is the research and resource person. So on behalf of our little group here, we want to welcome you. We were looking for you for a long time. Welcome to Fituse. The people who were supposed to talk to us did not come. So when the New Democratic Party decided that they will be here, we thought it was a good opportunity to make a short presentation. I'm not a politician. I'm not here to defend or promote any party. I'm here as a legal citizen whose rights has been undermined. Fitz, look at the tune, man.
No care who I leave empire, cause of forever.
Listen.
Big up, that means my brother, I did my father. No Russian, that not my father. you do with that Peter? You never talk like Lisa. Them sell you out, them Lisa. What make you do with that Peter? Use me, father, to get visa.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. When I heard about, well, I saw it on Kenton's presentation, that this ridiculous project is about to go down, I was hurt. I was disturbed. I was disappointed. You know why? If I did not vote for Carlos in the last election, he couldn't win. My vote was the winning vote. Straight. Brethren, listen to me. This is a serious matter. And when you see somebody like me come on a platform like this and speak out, you must understand the seriousness of the invasion of our democratic rights in this country. Let me say straight. Let me say this. Let me say this. We object to the we object to the contemptuous manner in which the quarry is being conducted. We want to let the government know that we in Fitzhugh are real human beings with real feelings. We are not made from stone, we are flesh and blood. And given the fact that governments, let me say this, governments do not own land. Governments do not own people. The land and the people belong to the state. Yes. The governments, politicians are custodians of the state. They manage the state's asset. They manage the state's wealth. They don't own it. And we have to understand that. We in Fitzhugh have to understand that no governments own us. We cannot be sold. We will not be sold. We cannot be bought. We will not be bought. So you come in, you take the lands that the farmers working on, the same farmers that you should have encouraged and put inputs, give them fertilizers, create markets. You take prime agricultural land and put it into an environmental quagmire. And when you're done, you talk about food security and reducing food import bill. You saw at the meeting in Plan, when Minister, the Honorable Carlos James and the Honorable Sabado Caesar came and they had the little, well, I don't know what to call it. And they made, whatever they, I don't even know. I was the one who asked about the environmental impact study. I was the person. I was the one who asked about it. They were not expecting it. When Mr. Edmund James asked about the problem with the dust, the Honorable Caesar got up and said, he shot to his feet and said, we didn't come here to talk about that. We come here to talk about compensation for farmers. So I had to put him in the place. If you saw the video, I had to put them in the place. Because they came and they lied to us in front of the entire world. Now you see that hill? And the others who live on that hill, right there.
Right there. You told me when the sea is rough, you are scared because you can feel the vibration coming from the waves hitting onto the bankside. Any blasting take place at Richmond to get that rock down, you are the ones who will be the first to reach into the seawater. Take my word for it. You take my word for it. The dust will be a problem. The hospital had to be nebulizing people every night because of asthma. There was no consideration, you know. Look at primary school there. Look at primary school. Look at there. Look at the construction, open blocks. So when the dust starts to come over, what are they going to do? No consideration. The Richmond Power Station is right at the foot of the quarry, the other side. Right? There is also a volcano monitoring station right on the hill there. You know it. The pole for that station gone to a depth of 35 feet. The blasting is going to interfere with the reading. Nobody concerned about us? Nobody? Is this what we voted for? Let me show you something. Yeah, I have to take my time and go fast. Now, I love to read. And so I have myself a copy of the book written by the Honorable Dr. Gonsalves, The Making of the Comrade. And I have a copy and I read certain parts. And based on what he put in that book, I respected him even more. Page 94 of that book, under good governance, he wrote, in the 2001 election manifesto of the ULP, we promised good governance. This is the man words, you know. I didn't make it up, you know. It's there for all to see, you know. We promised good governance. We did not and could not promise perfect governance, since such a condition is not available in this earthly city. We are sure that we have delivered good governance, a framework for participatory democracy grounded in universal democratic values and individual liberty, liberal democratic constitutional rule, and alive constitutionalism, responsible and responsive government. Where is this reflected in that project? Where? Where? The Quarry is wrong on so many levels. On the 5th of November last year, the 5th of November, an application appeared in the Vincentian newspaper for a wharf or a jetty to be built at Richmond by Renault Construction and Industrial Company. On the 18th of November, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines National Conservation Fund wrote a letter of objection to both the quarry and the jetty. So even before the meeting at Chateau-Belair, there was a strong objection, and the letter gave very clear, specific details. The letter was copied to the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor, Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, listen to this, Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture. That is the portfolio of our elected representative, the Honorable Carlos James. I don't know what is sustainable about a quarry. It was also copied to the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Information Technology, National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. Let me give a little piece from that letter. The letter was addressed to Ms. Donnet Harley, Secretary of the Physical Planning and Development Board. And the letter stated certain discrepancies in the manner in which the project is carried out. In fact, paragraph 5 of that said letter state, and I quote, "We are extremely surprised to see that no independent environmental impact assessment has been done for either of the applications." The letter went on to say in its conclusion, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Conservation Fund does not oppose development, but it must be done in a transparent, inclusive, and sustainable manner. They also went on to say that they therefore register objection to the proposed applications for the reasons mentioned above on the following basis. Number one, they oppose the project because no environmental assessment was done, no environmental management study was done, and no environmental and social management plan were done. No public or community consultation were done. No wave action study was done. Insufficient information regarding the construction and the process of the jetty are the pier. Yes, but when the little man want to build somewhere, huh? When the little man want to build somewhere, they come and they tear it down. Certain parts of Richmond, you can't go and take sand. They block off the front part right here for the people in Fitzhugh to go and take out the gravel and the sand by which they live. They block it off. But you want to come and take away a whole mountain for little or nothing. 30 pieces of silver. Disrespect, selfish, reckless, greed, no concern for human lives. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? And they come and give the farmers a few dollars as if that is a magic wand. They will wave it and all the problem of the quarry will go away. I'm no engineer. Hear me here. But I could read and I could do a review and I could understand. Pieces of silver for everybody to see what is taking place. After you conceptualize a project like that, and after you decide a project of that nature should take place, you do an environmental impact study. What is that? What is it? Let me try to break it down for us. According to the experts and the people who know and do the research and the study and do the documentation, they believe that an environmental impact assessment is a critical examination of the effects of a project on the environment. Okay? An EIA identifies both negative and positive impacts of any development, activity, or project, how it affects people, their property, and the environment. An environmental impact assessment also identifies measures, very important, to mitigate the negative impact while maximizing the positive ones. We cannot take any mitigation steps because we don't know what is happening. We don't know, we just don't know. We just do not know what is happening wrong there. We haven't studied it. We haven't studied it. And that worries me. It worries me that a prime minister who promised good governance can do this to not Leeward. So we have a prison at Belial, a landfill on one end, and a quarry at the other side, so we are encapsulated. It's like to say to us, we are going to make you more impoverished than you already are by doing this. I want you to read with me and read between the lines. Of all the things in North Leeward, and all the things you can give North Leeward, they give us a quarry. My stepfather gets his NIS check. He has to travel to Kingston to collect it and change it. Huh? Come on. Huh? No banking service in North Leeward. You can't even change a check long in Shattibele. The closest place is Barrowley to pay like a license and all the sort of support. You take it to Barrowley, but you want to bring this to us. Now listen to me, people. The environmental study is an preventative process. It seeks to minimize adverse effect on the environment and reduce risk. If a proper EIA, listen to this, if a proper EIA is carried out, then the safety of the environment can be properly managed at all stages of the project. Planning, design, construction, operation, monitoring, and evaluation, as well as decommissioning. So in other words, they are supposed to show us a computer simulation as to how Richmond will look after 30 years. What do you think they're dealing with? Huh? How do you think Richmond is going to look after 30 years? Huh? How do you think that is going to look? We have our properties. We work so hard to invest. Build our properties. Pay our mortgage. And one day you wake up and say, oh, your property is now devalued because of the hazard of the quarry. Come on now. Cracks in it. Before I give us the recommendations that we are making, because I don't talk to Carlos and tell him plain and straight, you know. I say, hey, now, you also an explanation, you know. You also an explanation. Because if you don't come to us now and talk, you can meet us in 2025, you know. So you better come now. Because my point is this. I elected him. I don't go to parliament. I don't go to parliament. He is our voice in the house. And if you can't defend your people in the house when the time comes, because the Prime Minister said, Mr. James endorsed that. You saw when they came wrong there? Huh? The 11th of March they came. And my elected representative did not even get a chance to utter one single word on a project in his backyard. Come on, man. Come on now, man. Come on. Huh? Come on. Our boy didn't even get a chance to speak. And then, when you left Richmond, you lock up in the air-conditioned vehicle and you drive to Fitchers with a scorn. You didn't even stay at the shop and run a few drinks with the guys and talk with a few of the people. You lock up and you go back to where you come from. And we must take this. We must take this. As I close off, one of the critical errors that they made, is that the United Nations has a lot of conventions on these matters, The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People talk about respect for people and their land, And that was totally disregarded, Our sovereign privacy has been invaded, United Nations is advocating that the public must be involved at all stages of the project. In fact, they said arrangements ought to be made by public authorities to enable the public affected and environmental non-governmental organization to comment on, for example, proposals for the project affecting the environment or plans and programs relating to the environment. These comments to be taken into due account in decision making and information to be provided on the final decisions and the reasons for it. So in other words, before they cut one tree and the backhoe came and removed one bucket of shovel, the project should have been a buzzword among us. There should have been discussions with the business owners. There should have been discussions with the schools and the PTA. There should have been discussions with not just only the treasury and the farmers. What about the other fisher folks? You have all the guys down there, Gibbs and Hobbies and all the others, who would have invested thousands of dollars in their scene. Right? And they still come and tell us how they're going to build fisheries. Where will the fish be for fisheries when they pollute the water? You want to build agro-processing plant when they take lands and kill the crops. What are you going to get fruits and vegetables to agro-process? They think we're stupid. As I close off, I want to show you something. The project is unlawful. The project is unlawful by virtue of the fact it did not go through due process. The project cannot stand. There's no basis for it. And we have to be aggrieved about it. Put politics aside. Because none of the guys who stand to benefit live in Jews. Not one of them. Our minister doesn't even live in Leeward. We have nothing personal against these guys, but wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. We have to shut down the project. Stop the quarry. Save our lives. Let me hear you. Stop the quarry. Save our lives. Stop the quarry. Save our lives. Stop the quarry. Fitz, give me next tune, the boy. Come on, DJ. Give me next tune to close up.
If you're not showing no progress, man, figure through life without no stress. Be friends with some people that's hopeless. Cause them are not them progress things and them school. I just saw them tongue tan. As to when your bread come from. A jail bunk them want see man head pan. A your nice life them want see you dead from. Nah, them can't trick me and kill me. No, with you.
Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Now, me serious, you know. Every morning I get up and look over the IVEX. When I jog to Richmond, which you know I do often, and I see on the IVEX. Lastly, there is a national physical development plan for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 2021 to 2041. It's a consultation draft, but it is still valid because not much is going to change for the final draft. The Quarry has broken every single rule there is concerning the construction and the way you should go about such project. Every single rule was broken by the government. That development plan, section 18.9, under resources extraction. In other words, there is a procedure and certain considerations before you start removing any minerals of any sort from the soil. This is a document that the government wrote, you know. It's a document that they wrote. St. Vincent and the Grenadines National Development Plan, you know. The best minds did this. And what the conservation plan is saying, appropriate studies demonstrating the sustainability benefits of the proposal will be required as part of the development application process. I'm quoting from the document. It's a government document, albeit a draft. Not much is going to change. These are fundamental guidelines. Secondly, it says, whatever project a government is going to undertake, it must not have an unacceptable impact on adjacent lands. So, people like Irvin Robinson and Mr. Francis Jukuna and Elliot and all those guys up in the valley there in Richmond and the academy, as far as that view coming over Monkesong, the dust will affect their produce. Basic science. Plants use energy from the sun to make food. The green matter in the plant is called chlorophyll. And the sunlight combined with chlorophyll and oxygen and so on to produce food. Basic science. Now, if the leaves are covered with dust, nothing happens. Your produce is stagnated. You're going to starve. Basic science. So all those of us who planting over here in Fitzhugh, even as far as Golden Grove and Overshadow, your produce, your yield will be minimal because the plants are struggling to attract sunlight. Come on now. And their document is saying that no project should damage people's crops and lands. They also say, you know, that all necessary and adequate measures to reduce, avoid, and mitigate any impact mentioned above have been incorporated in the development proposal and will be implemented before commencing. Before commencing, and that is the recurring theme. All this is to be done before commencing. So you do your study. You do your baseline study. The baseline study deals with finding out what kind of plant and species you have there. Those that are protected under the Forestry Act and so on. Before you cut one blade of grass. None of that was done. And then you disrespected us by not telling us. You admitted you disrespected us. And you further disrespect the disrespect by saying it's an error. And the definition of an error is something wrongfully done unintentionally. How could you say this is an error when you know what you are about in the first case? And lastly, the development plan states that no quarry or any project of a similar nature should not be located on sandy beaches or coastal ecosystem. Look out there. And it is worrying. It is worrying that this action is portrayed by a government in power. How could we agree with this, whether we supported them or not? You have no regards for us and for Jews. You mean to tell me we were not even worthy of a conversation on the matter? Not one word can be good. So, as I close, we are saying, stop the project. Stop the project, stop the quarry. It can't go away. If anything comes out of it, the land is already torn up, it will go back. The project will not do us good. Stop it. Stop that reckless behavior and have consideration for North Leeward. Lord Leeward does not deserve this disrespect and disdain. We do not. We are a proud people. We are a hard-working people. We are creative people. We are intelligent people. And we have a right to stand up and for Jews. I hope when we call, you rally with us. I hope when we call, you rally with us. I hope when we call, you rally with us. Look at the people who are in the group now. Adonis, Jill, Clary. I hope you get the message. Put the project on hold. You cannot apologize for something and keep doing it. It doesn't make sense. So you apologize for the project, but you still have it going on. But that makes sense. And by the way, when I consulted the Oxford Dictionary, the word export means to sell goods and services overseas. 99% mean 99% of a dollar is 99 cents. So if I have $100 and I take 99%, it's a dollar you get in. What is so difficult in understanding that? We've been listening and we're shaking our heads. We have to do better than this. There's a song I wanted, Fitz. I don't know if you could find this song by Winston Soso, the late Winston Soso, you know, Out on the Edge. But it's a very serious song. Out on the edge. If you prick us, we will bleed, you know. And if you wrong us, we will avenge. A time comes when a man can take so much and no more. St. Vincent is a nice country, man. Let us keep it nice. We are a lovely people. Go down with the disrespect, no man. Come on, recognize us for who we are. We must not only be seen. You understand? So, it's like, really? Really? We need to understand the level of contempt, We need to understand that, And I am wondering, all the ministries who got the letter of objection, what was their response? We need a baseline survey of the flora and fauna and the archaeology, because that is indigenous land. That's our heritage. We also need a cost-benefit analysis. We need the financial inputs and the financial outputs. We need the truth. We need an environmental study, specifically on the health effect on people in Fitchews, also with the noise. Exactly. What are the hours of engagement? Do we know that? The walk around the 24/7. The work that they did so far. They walk 24/7. What are the hours of engagement? We do not know. We do not know any of those things. We also would like to know what is the industrial relationship with Rene in St. Lucia. What is the industrial relation over there? We need to know that loud and clear. Most importantly, because as far as I know, the amount of dirt that they have to take off that hill to get to the rocks, my question is, where are they going to put it if the quarry goes on? It must end up in the sea. It must end up in the river. So those of you who think the quarry is good, I'm not a politician, think again. Think again. What is the plan for the waste management? Remember, Bigger Bakes was closed down for not controlling his waste. So they say. So we want to understand what is the waste management plan for the quarry. As I close, I am calling upon us in Fitchews and Chateaubriand and Leeward to close down the quarry. Ain't that good for us? We can do it, but we have to unite. We need to have further engagement among ourselves and do your own research and reading. So far, the government has spoken to us. They have spoken about us. They have not spoken with us. They have not spoken with us. And for a project of this magnitude, so much sort of happened before they started. Now, how could you defend and justify that action? How could you justify it? There is simply no justification. Come on. There is no justification. Nobody could justify what is happening there, no matter how they attempt. You can't justify it. And so, I want all of us to remember 30 years, one piece of silver for every year. But for those of us who know our Bibles well and believe in it, I want us to remember what happened to Judas after he got his 30 pieces of silver. I want you to remember what happened to him. The government knows what they're doing is wrong. And I am calling, and we are calling upon them to stop it. Amend your ways and your doing. Amend your ways and your doing. What you are doing to not Leeward is wrong. It will cause us our lives and livelihood. It is not too late. Stop it. And we want a public apology to be made. Not just to North Leeward, but to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We can't continue with this. My fellow villagers, I have spoken. You have heard. You know me. You know I am a man of the community and for the community. You know me. You know how I roll. You know me. Simple, humble, going about my business. You know that. And when somebody like me can come out and talk like this, you have to get on board. Chaddy, you have to get on board and rally with me, Chaddy. You have to rally with me. We want that quarry out of the way. You have a quarry. How much people suffer from videos that get work? How much people have videos that get work wrong day? Huh? The biggest environmental mess in the Eastern Caribbean is that. And St. Vincent has it. So what are we going to do? Stop the quarry. Stop the quarry. Stop the quarry. Stop the quarry. Save lives. Thank you. God bless you. Until we meet again.
Country, but a long, long time. Me live here so can't go no way. Them really take poor people for fool. Them really take poor people for fool. Oh, it's a Babylon. Where you get that system you're from? Bulldozers are down poor people and John no say me nah vote again, no sir. Cause the MP don't give a damn. I can't believe it. Government want to move me. Me turn refugee in my own country. But a long, long time me live here so can't go no way. Them really take poor people for fool. Them really take poor people for fool. Oh, it's a Babylon.
DJ a while, there's a little while. They have some refreshment. I do not know how much.